It was glorious! Yeah, I had to say that. Anyways, NXT TakeOver San Antonio is over with, and now we're finally on the final chapter to reach the Royal Rumble. This show offered some surprising moments. Like, I was surprised with the last three matches of the card. Like, the first two matches, you could obviously, okay, like, it's kind of obvious where they're going with here. But the last three matches, well, two of them, the fourth match in the card, Asuka versus Nikki Cross versus Billy Kay and Pete and Royce. Um, yeah, I'll get to that in a moment. So, anyways, we get to Eric Young, who's leading Sanity, and for fighting Tyler Dillinger. 10, 10, 10, 10. And I believe I didn't talk about this in the Royal Rumble video, but I think I said, I'm not 100% sure, I could be wrong, but I believe I said that I would like to see Ty Dillinger show up at the Royal Rumble entering at number 10. Then we get the 10, 10, 10 count. Since WWE officials believe that's the next big chant that's going to happen, since there's the yes chant, and now there's the 10 chant, and Roman Reigns gets booed. But anyways, um, Eric Eric Young from TNA is bleeding Sanity, and he tried to recruit Ty Dillinger, which ended disastrously, where Ty Dillinger was finally starting to doubt himself, which I loved because he's technically to the main roster would be called a jobber. But instead, they give the guy a story out of it because he loses so much. They actually try to make a story out of it, which I actually welcome because that actually makes some sense. Because eventually, either the jobber would start doubting his position or would start becoming increasingly frustrated, like CJ Parker did. How he said that he felt like, oh, I'm not good enough to be on the TakeOver show, and he already tried to occupy the show NXT until everyone's favorite hacker showed up. Not Aiden Pierce or our friendly neighborhood hackers from DedSec. So, anyways, Eric Young fought Ty Dillinger, and he had Alexander Wolf and Killen Dan by his side, and that was a okay match. Like, I wasn't expecting magic. Like, yeah, Eric Young's a good performer, but he's kind of reaching that age. He kind of looks like it, at least. And Ty Dillinger, like, I was expecting Ty Dillinger to win. Like, they were clearly building up this underdog storyline, and he loses. I'm like, granted, they gave him an excuse, but yeah, I was kind of surprised that he lost. I was honestly expecting him to get the victory. And Eric Young, like, I get they have to build Sanity up since this is something that Triple H has apparently been clamoring to build for 10 years now, and he's finally getting it to come to fruition. So, yeah, I kind of understand why he's trying to make Eric Young and the Sanity group look really strong in this. So, Ty Dillinger was just caught in the crossfire. Now, it seems like if they had had Ty Dillinger win the match, I don't know what that would have done for Sanity. I mean, it would have given Ty Dillinger momentum. Like, I thought he was going to win on the grounds that, oh, he's showing up at the Rumble tomorrow night, so is he going to get a victory here to at least look impressive? And he did look impressive in the match, however, he didn't win. So that makes people doubt. So I'm pretty sure that will make people doubt that, oh, yeah, we're supposed to buy that he's a possibility to legitimately go after the Universal or the WWE Championship. Okay, maybe just the Universal title. Like, he could go out to Kevin Owens and probably win because Kevin Owens is booked so horribly. Now, the WWE title, that's a different story. You have the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, who's been booked greatly, and then you have Shovel Cena. And Ty Dillinger's a young rookie who has a popular chant. Huh, I wonder what Cena would do. It comes with a shovel, I think. A golden one, I believe. But that's beside the point. Um, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, Eric Young beat Ty Dillinger. Like, I was expecting two things to happen. One would be either Eric Young offering Ty Dillinger one more time to join, and the other one was Ty Dillinger just sitting in the ring, frustrated, becoming complacent, feeling like he's going nowhere. And I don't know what happens after that. Like, But no, none of that happens. That was surprising. I was expecting something to happen, like Ty Dillinger would eventually break. But I think there might be saving that later down the road, though it could change at any time. Now let's get to what I believe will be an underrated match: Roderick Strong versus Andre Cien Almas. I just call him Cien Almas for short. Anyways, I think that was a really underrated match by now, since you got the Authors of Pain versus DIY and Bobby Roode versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And I think this is going to get lost a little bit, especially on the Royal Rumble weekend, but this is going to turn into an underrated matchup. But Roderick Strong and Almas delivered a hell of a match. It was awesome. It was probably his best, Almas' best match. I don't know about Roderick Strong because, like I said, I haven't watched any of the NXT episodes lately. And ever since Kevin Owens and ever since like Kevin Owens left, it just kind of started becoming complacent afterwards. So yeah, like I watched clips of it, but the last time I technically watched NXT once was during the Shinsuke Nakamura versus Finn Balor match, which was Finn Balor's second to final matchup. So Roderick Strong and Cien Almas did actually a great match. Like, it was fast paced, it was aggressive, and it was Almas' best match. Like I said, I don't know about Roderick Strong, but I would like to see him fight Austin Aries when Austin Aries gets back, though from what we've seen from 205 Live, he seems to be joining the Cruiserweight division, which will be a shame since he's clearly better suited for SmackDown Live, since, he'll get better booking there. Like, he'll probably get better booking on Raw because he's a heel, and therefore, for some reason, the heel's got to get better booking. But, yeah, I'm not confident in Raw's booking status. So Roderick Strong defeated Almas, and I personally didn't see anything wrong with this win. Like, yeah, it's to establish Roderick Strong, and Almas, well, it's just Almas. He's the new Ty Dillinger, but less cooler. Though, of course, I will say Ty Dillinger, when he comes to the ring, it just looks like he came out of a spaceship. So that's just kind of weird. So unless they're going with a sci-fi gimmick, which I know they're not, I don't really get it. I think he should just change his attire a bit. But that's just me. Now let's get to the three big matches that were hyped up. The Authors of Pain versus DIY, Asuka versus Nikki Cross versus Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, and Bobby Roode versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Let's go with the tag team match. The Authors of Pain, who I'm going to just say I probably will get their names wrong. I probably won't even call them by their names because, let's be honest, they look the same. The only difference is that one has a tattoo and the other doesn't on their arm. So I'll probably get confused by that, especially since I get confused with the Usos. Anyways, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, once again they prove why they're the best tag team on the NXT division, and I would love to see them be on SmackDown Live. Like, I would love to see them go after American Alpha. I don't believe they haven't done a match with those two teams yet. So I say we go with that match. The Authors of Pain, surprisingly, without help from Paul, not Heyman, defeated DIY, and I was surprised by this decision. Like, really? This is their first big pay-per-view match, and they're going to lose the belts? Huh. Like, I know they defended it on other shows on NXT, but this is their first major title defense on the bigger stage. But really, they're gonna lose? And I'm gonna just say DIY. Yeah, that's not a good tag team name. Like, it's a short title. And I'm just so tired. I'm like, it could be for a good chant, but why is it just called DIY? Like, why don't you come up with a name that has the initials of DIY? But, like, the Authors of Pain do, like AOP, DIY. Like, I haven't heard crowd chant AOP because, really, with the exception of Paul Ellering, what's really interesting about them, other than them dressing up like they're bigger, tougher guys of the Shield? because they wear those security outfits like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose wore. Okay. So Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, like I knew what was gonna happen in this match. Like I was expecting them to retain the titles, but I was expecting like, okay, two things are gonna happen. One, they're gonna have to carry the Authors of Pain since they don't have that much experience, and two, yeah, they're gonna deliver. And boy, did they deliver! Like I was surprised that the Authors of Pain managed to hold themselves well in this. Like they came off looking like beasts, and they didn't need help from Paul, not Heyman. So I was surprised by this, like, and I love their manager Paul Ellering's expressions and body language attitude. Like he was freaking out, going crazy. I was honestly expecting when they were trapped in the submission, reminiscing of Toronto, that Paul was going to get involved by dragging the referee out or try to get involved somehow, but that didn't happen. Instead, the Authors of Pain put themselves out of that submission move by DIY, and that was honestly an awesome match. I certainly loved it, but I was surprised that the Authors of Pain won so soon. Like they just won the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, and now they get to win the Tag Team Championships. Huh. And I wonder what's gonna happen. Like they're not DIY, and a lot of fans don't seem to like this direction. I don't really know about the Authors of Pain that much because I don't watch NXT as much as I used to, other than the Takeover specials. But yeah, DIY. They seem to be poised for one more match with the Authors of Pain, and then go to the main roster because that's the system. And then the Revival is going to challenge them, the Authors of Pain, and then they're going to be kicked out and go to the main roster, which will leave the tag team division severely crippled since they just lost their last two remaining good teams. And now it's going to be carried by the Authors of Pain. So, yeah, I'm curious as to know what's going to happen. But anyways, okay, and also they did a reminiscent scene of NXT TakeOver where Asuka defeated Nia Jax. They did a similar idea, except I don't know which Author of Pain was it, but they similarly did that, but it ends with a clothesline instead of where Tommaso Ciampa does a kick to the skull. Like instead, one of the Authors of Pain clothesline him, and it just reminded me of, yeah, that looks like Asuka versus Nia Jax. Like they're paying homages. Like I get it, they're trying to pay homages to their previous NXT Takeover specials, whereas WWE it just shows clips of it of past pay-per-views. So at least they're trying to homage everything from a physical sense, whereas WWE just shows a clip of it and say, "Oh, well, here's a clip of it. Here's your nostalgia," or promote it on the network instead of just trying to copy it from a trying to try to capture that magic again. Since like some fans will get nostalgic and think, "Hey, I remember that." So let's get to the match that I honestly thought disappointed me because I was surprised how short it was. Asuka versus Nikki Cross versus Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. This match lasted less than 10 minutes. It was 5 seconds away from lasting 10 minutes. And it didn't. Like, it was shorter than the other previous 3 matches. I was expecting them to end up at least 15 minutes. Maybe 20. But no, like, I don't know why, but, because I knew what was going to happen in this match. I knew Asuka was going to win. Since the match wasn't really being interesting, like, there's only 2 moments in here. A double German suplex from Asuka to Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, and Nikki Cross being suplexed into a table. That's the only 2 highlights I can think of. And I knew, and it was, after that, they weren't really getting interesting. It was just kind of boring. I was just checking my imaginary watch thinking, okay, let's get to Ember Moon because that's clearly what you're building up to. Because everybody kind of knew it's going to be Asuka versus Ember Moon. And once Ember Moon wins, she's going to take the title. Asuka's going to take one more match loss and then go to up to WWE. Probably Raw probably Raw most likely, since well they need to flush out their women's division, but there's still a chance they could take her to SmackDown Live. Though of course they already have Dean Ambrose to fill the lunatic role, so I really wouldn't like put another lunatic in there unless they're gonna do a cross promotion. So yeah. But ultimately, this match ultimately disappointed me. Like, I never didn't watch the build up, but I was expecting at least a good matchup. But like, Nikki Cross, like, she barely did anything other than look insane like she needs a straitjacket, which I think was the purpose of that. And Billy Kay and Pete Royce, they just did their usual sisters gimmick. And Asuka, being the psychotic that she is, that requires an absolute straitjacket and a lot of other things. Yeah, I think that really needs some help on that. And security. So much security. But that's the storyline terms. Now, prior to this match, I almost forgot to mention this. We got a special appearance from the first ever NXT champion, and currently feuding with Triple H, Seth frickin' Rollins. Yeah, he comes out storming, demanding that he gets Triple H, and technically he got Triple H. He came out, and I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of surprising. I didn't think they were going to do a on-screen appearance of Triple H. I thought it was just going to be security coming down there. But instead we got an on-screen appearance of Triple H showing himself to Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins kind of got his wish, but he didn't get the fight he wanted. I'm pretty sure they're saving that for Royal Rumble. I'm still predicting that Triple H will enter the Royal Rumble and Seth Rollins will come out even though he's not in the Rumble match to eliminate him. Like they did with Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels after Shawn Michaels got eliminated back in 2003. But yeah, that was an entertaining segment, a surprising good segment. Not a bad segment, but it was surprising that it happened. Especially, like I didn't think they would cross the main roster stuff to go to NXT, since, well, Vince McMahon's logic, he tries to keep them in two completely different universes. Like everything you did in NXT, that will get mentioned, but your character won't be the same. Mostly, you'll be a diet version of that. So that's why I dread when the day comes when the Revival will come to the main roster, because they probably won't be able to do their innovative tag team maneuvers, such as going underneath the ring, going on the other side of it, and doing their other innovative moveset. But what do I know? And I would like to also point out, Tommaso Ciampa, oh dear God, he managed to suplex two, not at once, but that would have been freaking amazing if that happened, two 300-pound guys. Okay, let's put him in the ring with Brock Lesnar. I want to see that. I'm curious as to know, could he really suplex the Beast Incarnate? Though, of course, they'll favor the part-timer over the full-time guy. But still. So now let's get to the main event. The epic confrontation that we all been waiting for. The Battle of the Entrances. Bobby Roode's Glorious Theme and versus Shinsuke Nakamura's Rising Sun. Bobby Roode comes out very much like Ric Flair. I'm gonna be honest, that was a Ric Flair entrance he performed. Like, he has the robe, he has the song, and he kind of has the catchphrase. And now he's using the ladies. Yeah, they're trending dangerously close to Ric Flair. Like, some people actually say he looks more like Triple H, but now he's acting like Ric Flair in terms of character. Except he doesn't say woo, he says glorious. And of course the fans just love his song, since they like to sing it. And then you got Shinsuke Nakamura's Rising Sun. Like, I was expecting something big to happen, like another violinist or a group of violinists. That didn't happen, sadly. But the two entrances were awesome enough as it is. So let's add, but adding more hope. Oh, I won't complain. Like, if it took them 10 minutes to get to the ring, I probably wouldn't complain. Probably. Since, this is an NXT TakeOver event on the WWE Network, they could go for as long as they want. They could go into overtime. They don't care. It's their schedule. It's their own schedule. They could go as long as they want. within reasonable timing, but still go as long as they want, like they did with NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 1. And they also did went into overtime by an extra 12 minutes. So Bobby Roode versus Shinsuke Nakamura, and it was a great match. Like, yeah, it was. Yeah, they do a slow pacer build because that's the new style now, which is kind of why I probably didn't really enjoy it as much as their previous matches between Finn Balor and Samoa Joe in the cage. Whereas I liked the previous two matches they had. That's probably why. But Bobby Roode versus Shinsuke Nakamura, they delivered a hell of a match. And the fans are chanting, "Glorious!" And the other fans are chanting, "Oh!" They're just chanting the entrance themes. And then it takes a nasty turn in the match. You see, well, before I get to that, I did like the one moment when Bobby Roode's lying and pretending to be unconscious on the canvas, and Nakamura's trying to get his finisher ready, but he's just pretending to be unconscious, and then he just goes over there and he catches him, and Bobby Roode catches him in a pin. I was like, okay, yeah, when. Okay, now that really needs to start to be something, because that should be like a new kind of style. Like Nakamura's gonna have to change up his finisher somehow, because now guys know his weakness. They could just fake unconsciousness, but I'm pretty sure that will be a Bobby Roode exclusive. So yeah. So that took a nasty turn. Like Nakamura did this fly off the turnbuckle onto Bobby Roode, and it seemingly injured his leg. Now, a lot of people were having a hard time. Is this real or is this selling? It could be a mix of the two, since doctors were coming out, and then I saw everyone's favorite Prince Albert come out, also known as Tensai. Oh dear God, the lingerie gimmick. Why? But that's beside the point. Um, yeah, Albert came out, and I thought for a moment, yeah, is this legit? I think it's a mix of the two, because I think that was planned, and then it suddenly went out of control for a little bit, and then they had to keep going with it. Then the Bobby Roode had to keep going with it, thinking Nakamura was just selling it. I could be horribly wrong, because Bobby Roode kept punching the leg, injuring it when he got into a Boston Crab. And then finally he gave him a glorious DDT twice. The first time Nakamura kicked down, he freaked out like that. And then the second time's the charm for him. Don't question it. He's glorious, man. And he gets a pinfall victory, and he is the new NXT champion. So yeah, I was surprised once again. I wasn't expecting Bobby Roode to win the title. I was expecting that to happen either around WrestleMania season or later down the road after that. Because Nakamura's title reign, he's had two title reigns and they've been unbelievably short. That's something I don't expect from NXT. I usually expect it to go as long as they can. At least until an injury happens, and then they have to change everything. So, yeah, I'm surprised that they're letting Nakamura and Samoa Joe lose the title so soon. I think it's because NXT is just going through this reconstruction period, because they're currently losing all their best talent and going to the main roster, and they have to fix everything. But everyone knows the formula, but they seem to be still going the formula. If you win the title and then lose it and then do a rematch, you go back to the main roster. You go up to the main roster. So wouldn't that accelerate the problem, worsen the problem at least? Like, Samoa Joe seems to be poised to leave since he didn't interfere in the matchup at all. Like, I was expecting him to do something since the commentators hinted at it. And I'll get to the commentary in a moment. Like, oh dear God. It's a tragedy. But anyways. Like, I was expecting Samoa Joe to come into the ring and stare down Bobby Roode, and then we would have gotten an NXT traditional match between the two later down the road. That would have been interesting. But it seems Samoa Joe's moving to the main roster. And from what I've heard, Samoa Joe seems to be setting up a feud with John Cena for WrestleMania. So he's going to SmackDown! Unless they do an interpromotional match, but he's going to SmackDown! The reason why I don't say it's interpromotional, even though it's a possibility, is because it was heard that they're no longer doing interpromotional matches for a while after the Survivor Series matchup. So, yeah, I'm confused why they didn't want to do that, but, like, heck, at least that gives me hope that Samoa Joe goes to SmackDown. He certainly needs to be there. So, yeah. And now let's get into the commentary and the tragedy that had happened. Corey Graves announced this is his last TakeOver show as color commentator of NXT. Everyone take off your hats and have a moment of respect. Okay, now we've got that out of the way. And there's one more moment. I laughed and then posted on Twitter when I heard this. They know Vince and Trump are best friends, right? And that probably is a factor into Linda McMahon's position in the government. Probably. But Trump recently pulled some bullshit. I'm going to call it right there and there. That there was a voter fraud and he's using, quote, alternative facts. And he's going to look into it with investigation teams. Corey Graves decided to stroke up some controversy, probably, to those people who support Trump by bringing up, oh, it's an alternative fact. What, are you going to get a bunch of committee guys to go and investigate this regarding this, I don't remember what, but, like, it was part of the show. But, like, I'm like, oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay. Now, I know they've done something like this before for leaders and talent. Like, they like to mock the talent sometimes when they do something botched or something like that. Or when they reference current events. But when they think it's really stupid. But, I'd like to point out that the president we have right now is very temperamental. It's mostly on Twitter, so yeah, he probably will get heated over the fact that they mocked his alternative facts statement regarding the voter fraud incident. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. I wonder if he'll respond on Twitter and complain about it as usual. So yeah, NXT TakeOver San Antonio. You had 5 matches. 4 of them were great. 4 of them were glorious. Okay, wait, let me correct that. 1 was solid, 1 was great, 1 was surprising, 1 was glorious, and 1 was a disappointment. Yeah, that's pretty much the card. So, yeah, I'm curious as to know what they're going to do now. They're probably going to wait until WrestleMania. I know Asuka's most likely going to fight Ember Moon around WrestleMania's TakeOver event. And then afterwards, Ember Moon gets to have the title reign of the Women's Championship. And recently, Asuka, congratulations, I must add, recently surpassed Paige as the longest reigning women's champion of NXT. All while being undefeated. Mirroring Goldberg to a major extent. But not as overexposed. So, yeah, I'm curious as to know what's going to happen. Is Bobby Roode and Shinsuke Nakamura going to go at it? Is Bobby Roode going to keep the title for a long time? How are the Authors of Pain going to do well at the mountaintop? And what is Sanity up to next? And I like to say, I would be curious as to know what a match between Sanity and the Wyatt family would be like. Because they have the same agenda. They want to take down the system and break it and cause chaos. And I would like to see, I know they did this in TNA, but I would like to see Bobby Roode versus AJ Styles in WWE. Mostly at WrestleMania, because you got the Glorious One. I know they don't call him the Glorious One, they just call him Glorious Bobby Roode, but I'm going to call him the Glorious One. Versus the Phenomenal One. And plus, I would also love to hear the audience at WrestleMania sing, Glorious! For I won't give in till I'm victorious. that will be one interesting WrestleMania season for that. But we'll find that out if he goes to the main roster soon enough. Well, everyone, this was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.